If you thought owning an entire building at Thompson Riviera was already the limit of what Chu Yang could get out of this class reunion, you seriously underestimated how good his old classmates were at bragging. 1 second earlier, Wang Yu had practically been slapped in the face by dozens of Thompson Riviera property deeds. The next second, trying to save what was left of his rich kid pride, he casually tossed out another boast. I'm holding off on buying at Thompson Riviera for now. I just bought a villa at Dongjiao No. 1 estate recently, so I'm a little short on liquid cash. Wang Yu had no idea that the moment those words left his mouth, Chu Yang, standing nearby, almost burst out laughing, because the system notification had already arrived. Detected, Wang Yu was bragging in front of the host. Reward, Villa No. 9 at Dongjiao No. 1 estate. Chu Yang's eyes shifted slightly. Dongjiao No. 1 estate, one of the true top-tier villa communities in Shanghai. Even an ordinary villa there was worth more than 100 million RMB. And the most outrageous property of them all, Villa No. 9, covered more than 1,000 square meters and was worth an incredible 1 billion RMB. Most importantly, no one had ever managed to buy it. And now, Wang Yu had casually bragged one sentence, and it belonged to Chu Yang. Chu Yang suddenly wondered how Wang Yu could possibly be considered an annoying rich kid. The guy was obviously his lucky star. Most people would be doing well if they triggered one reward for him in an entire day. Wang Yu had already handed him who knew how many rewards in a single night. The system had barely finished issuing the reward, when the classmates on the other side were already drawn in by what Wang Yu had said. Song Junjun looked stunned. Dongjiao No. 1 estate? Isn't that one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Shanghai? Someone asked. Are the villas there really that expensive? Song Junjun immediately started explaining. Expensive doesn't even begin to cover it. The cheapest villas are already over 100 million RMB, especially Villa No. 9. I heard it's worth a full billion, and no one has been able to buy it all this time. 1 billion? A whole group of people sucked in a breath. When they looked at Wang Yu again, their expressions changed immediately. Young Master Wang, that's insane. A rich kid really is on another level. Chu Yang owns a whole building at Thompson Riviera, and Wang Yu owns a top-tier villa. This is ridiculous. Listening to everyone praise him, Wang Yu finally recovered a little of the confidence he had been losing all night. He waved a hand, pretending to be calm. It's all right. It's just a house. But after the shock of hearing Chu Yang describe an entire Thompson Riviera building as not that big, there was now one thing the classmates trusted least. Rich people saying something was all right. Song Junjun was the first to press him. Wang Yu, don't be modest. Chu Yang just said his place wasn't that big, and then he showed us an entire building at Thompson Riviera. Which villa did you buy at Dongjiao No. 1 estate? Where are you taking us over to see it? Yeah, let us take a look. I've never even been inside a luxury villa community like that. We have to take pictures when we go. Wang Yu's smile froze again. What villa at Dongjiao No. 1 estate? He had only made up an excuse because he was embarrassed and wanted to save face. Who knew these people would actually want to go see it? All Wang Yu could do was answer vaguely. I just bought it. The handover isn't completely finished yet. When everything's ready, I'll invite everyone over when I get the chance. Standing nearby, Chu Yang finally failed to hold it in and let out a quiet laugh. Wang Yu instantly became nervous. Chu Yang, what are you laughing at? Nothing. Chu Yang waved a hand. I just think everyone had a pretty good time today. It's getting late. You should all get some rest. By the time he finished speaking, the cars arranged by Grand Hyatt International Hotel had already arrived. And they weren't ordinary business vans. More than a dozen luxury cars worth over 1 million RMB each lined up outside, specifically to take Chu Yang's old classmates back. The moment the group walked out of Thompson Riviera, they stopped dead. Mercedes? Maybach? Is that one a Bentley? We're only going back to the hotel. Do we really need all this? Wait. Don't get in yet. Take a picture of me first. The classmates who had been looking tired from the reunion instantly became excited again. The first thing someone did after getting into the car was open WeChat moments. Class reunion over. Our billionaire classmate arranged million RMB luxury cars to take us back. Elsewhere, someone had just checked into Grand Hyatt International Hotel and immediately started taking pictures of the room. Spent all night touring Thompson Riviera until my legs hurt. Guess I'll have to come back and soak in the tub. Someone else even added the location tag. Staying at Grand Hyatt International again tonight. Thanks to my ridiculously low-key ultra-rich old classmate. Overnight, the moments feeds of more than a dozen classmates practically exploded. Friends they hadn't spoken to in years, co-workers, And even relatives all started asking questions. Who exactly is that classmate of yours? Does he really own an entire building at Thompson Riviera? Does he own Grand Hyatt International Hotel too? Any chance you could introduce me? In the past, these people had gone to class reunions to prove they were doing well for themselves, but by the end of this one, the single most impressive thing they had to show off had somehow become, I know Chuyang. Even having eaten one meal with Chuyang had become something worth talking about. Chuyang, meanwhile, was at the center of all of it and couldn't have cared less. The next morning, he slept until 10. After washing up, he drove out in his Koenigsegg 1:1, one of only 6 in the world. Then he did something that could not have looked more out of place with a car like that. He bought soy milk and fried dough sticks. Chuyang was carrying breakfast in one hand and was about to head back to the car, when someone not far away suddenly ran past shouting, "Come take a look. There's a Korean martial arts expert setting up a challenge ring up ahead. He's already injured several people from Shanghai's martial arts community." Chuyang stopped. He had nothing else to do anyway. Might as well watch the show. So he followed the crowd. Before long, a large temporary fighting platform appeared in front of him. The area around it was packed shoulder to shoulder. A huge banner hung above the ring. Kim Chong-won Challenge Ring. All fighters welcome. On the platform, a lean, muscular young man was looking down at his opponent with open contempt. He was Kim Chong-won. Standing across from him was a square-faced middle-aged man. Or, more accurately, a man who could barely stay on his feet. His face and body were covered in injuries. Blood was still running from the corner of his mouth, but for some reason, he still refused to surrender. Kim Chong-won punched him across the face. "That's it? Is there nobody in Shanghai who can fight?" Another punch. The middle-aged man staggered violently. 2 young men below the ring were so anxious their eyes had gone red. "Uncle Lin, stop fighting. Just surrender." Kim Chong-won sneered. He grabbed the middle-aged man by the hair. "Did you hear that? Your juniors are telling you to give up. Say it yourself. Are you surrendering or not?" The man struggled to lift his head. His face was covered in blood, yet he still managed a faint smile. "Surrender? Shanghai doesn't raise cowards. Not a chance." Kim Chong-won's expression immediately turned cold. One more punch, and the middle-aged man lost consciousness completely. But Kim Chong-won still didn't stop. Instead, he lifted the unconscious man onto his shoulder and threw him straight off the edge of the ring. Thud. The sound of his body hitting the ground made everyone watching tense up. "Uncle Lin." The 2 young men rushed over. Kim Chong-won, meanwhile, spread his arms on the platform and basked in the screams of several female fans. "Chong-won Appa, you're so handsome. Appa, you're amazing." The expressions of many local spectators grew uglier by the second. This was no longer a normal sparring match. The other side was clearly trying to humiliate people on purpose. And Kim Chong-won still didn't think it was enough. He stood in the center of the ring and looked down at the massive crowd. Who's next? No one answered. Master Lin had already been one of the stronger fighters there, and he had still been beaten that badly. Kim Chong-won's smile grew even more arrogant. "What? Shanghai is this big, and not one person here can fight? Or is it that you're all trash?" That one sentence instantly set the crowd off. Some people were already cursing at him, but very few were actually willing to step into the ring, until a young man still carrying soy milk and fried dough sticks slowly walked out from the back of the crowd. Chuyang looked up at the platform. His brows had been furrowed at first, but after hearing Kim Chong-won say everyone in Shanghai was trash, his expression relaxed instead. Because the system had spoken, and whenever the system spoke, it meant one thing. This guy was bragging again. Chuyang set his breakfast to the side and stepped onto the ring in one stride. The arguing crowd suddenly went quiet for a moment. There was no helping it. Chuyang now had the system's top-tier charm enhancement, combined with his already exceptional build, looks, and presence. He drew attention the instant he appeared. Several girls below the ring froze. "He's so handsome. Isn't he way better looking than Kim Chong-won? But he doesn't look that muscular. Can he actually fight?" Kim Chong-won's female fans immediately objected. "So what if he's handsome? Our Chong-won Appa is a real expert." Kim Chong-won himself looked even more dismissive. He looked Chuyang up and down twice. "You? Since even my fans think you're decent looking, I'll give you a chance. Get off the ring yourself. I can beat the experts from Brandon Security with ease. Someone like you isn't even worth my time." The moment he finished speaking, the voice in Chuyang's mind rang out. Detected, Kim Chong-won is bragging in front of the host. Reward, 100% ownership of Korea's Brandon Security Company. Chu-yang was a little surprised. Brandon Security, a major security corporation in Korea. Its market value exceeded 30 billion RMB. It was said the company employed a large number of genuinely elite professionals who had undergone serious training. Any one of its core members was probably far beyond someone like Kim Chong-won. And all Kim Chong-won had done was brag once. Now the entire company belonged to Chu-yang. Thinking about that, Chu-yang suddenly looked at him much more kindly. What a generous guy. So Chu-yang said only one thing. Start already. You're not even worth wasting 1 minute on. Everyone. Arrogant. Way too arrogant. Kim Chong-won's face darkened instantly. Fine. I'll put you on the ground in 3 moves. After saying that, he even raised one finger at Chu-yang in provocation. But the next second, his voice suddenly turned into a scream. Chu-yang caught his hand. Ben. Smack. One slap. Clean. Sharp. Not a single flashy move. Kim Chong-won flew straight off the edge of the ring. He hit the ground and passed out. The entire fight had taken only a few seconds. The whole place went dead silent. Several seconds passed before someone finally shouted in disbelief. It's over? That's it? Who said 3 moves just now? What 3 moves? He didn't even survive one. The girls who had been cheering for Kim Chong-won were stunned too. They hadn't even seen what happened. The oppa they had been screaming for a moment earlier was already lying below the ring without moving. Chu-yang shook out his hand. That's all you've got? And you came here to challenge Shanghai's fighters? Go home and train for a few more years. Cheers immediately erupted below the ring. That was insane. That felt so good. What's your name, handsome? I'm following you. But Kim Chong-won's companions clearly refused to accept it. A man named Kim Song charged onto the platform. That was a cheap shot. We never officially said the match had started. That has no sportsmanship at all. Chu-yang almost laughed. Fine. Then let's do it again. This time, you can say when it starts. He casually brushed off his clothes. 15 seconds. If you can even touch the corner of my clothes within 15 seconds, I lose. Kim Song's face turned ashen. The crowd below, however, was already boiling with excitement. Some people had thought Chu-yang won the first fight with a sneak attack. What about this time? Every phone in the crowd went up. Record it. We have to record this. Kim Song took his stance. This time, the match officially began. First punch. Chu-yang turned sideways. Miss. Second kick. Chu-yang took half a step back. Miss again. Kim Song grew more frantic with every attack. He launched one move after another. Forget landing a hit on Chu-yang. He genuinely couldn't even touch the edge of his clothes. Someone below the ring suddenly shouted while watching the time. 15 seconds. The instant the words left his mouth, Chu-yang finally moved. Smack. Another slap. Kim Song spun through the air. Thud. He hit the ground. Unconscious. Almost exactly the same as Kim Chong-won. At that moment, no one said anything about a cheap shot anymore. The video was crystal clear. From beginning to end, Chu-yang hadn't even bothered to use a second move. Legend Chu. No one knew who shouted it first. Then, more and more people joined in. Legend Chu. Legend Chu is insane. Legend Chu means business, no talk, all action. Even Chu-yang himself froze for a second. Since when had he gotten the nickname Legend Chu? But it still wasn't over. Kim Chong-won's companions refused to accept defeat. One of them forced himself to say, best 2 out of 3. At most, we've only lost 1 round so far. The crowd instantly erupted in boos. Do you have any shame? Kim Chong-won doesn't count now? Are you guys lining up to get slapped? Chu-yang looked at them with a strange expression. Finally, he simply said, forget best 2 out of 3. All of you come at me together. Getting slapped takes effort too, you know. What if you come to your senses later and stop volunteering your faces? Then I'll have wasted my time. The crowd lost it laughing. The guy looked so cool and distant. How is his mouth this savage? The faces of the dozen people across from him turned green with rage. Get him! More than a dozen of them charged onto the ring at once. Everyone watching instinctively held their breath. 1 against more than a dozen? This wasn't a one-on-one fight anymore. But very quickly, everyone realized they had worried for nothing. Smack. The first one went flying. Smack. The second one dropped. Smack. 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 A string of sharp slaps rang through the air. Chu-yang didn't even use any complicated techniques. Whoever came at him got 1 slap. 1, 2, 3, 5, 10. In less than 10 seconds, the dozen-plus men who had charged up so aggressively were sprawled all over the ring. Some had their eyes rolled back. Some were completely unconscious. Others looked like they had been slapped out of their senses. Chuyang, meanwhile, stood in the middle. His breathing hadn't even changed. The crowd below went completely wild. Legend Chu. Absolute legend. This is ridiculous. Is he seriously taking them out one slap at a time? I'm starting to think Legend Chu's martial art is literally the divine slap technique. Don't insult him. Since when can a normal slap send a grown man flying? The funniest part was, the chubby young Korean man in charge of the ring was already trembling below the platform. Everyone else was down. Apparently, he was the only one still conscious. Chuyang looked around. Anyone else? The chubby young man frantically waved his hands. No. Really, no one. Legend Chu, we surrender. Chuyang pointed at the ring. And this? The young man froze. Then he understood. We'll take it down. Right away. As soon as they're taken to the hospital, we'll tear the ring down immediately. Only then did Chuyang look satisfied. Before leaving, he added, next time, don't come to Shanghai setting up challenge rings for no reason. We might not have everything here, but we've got plenty of people who know how to slap. With that, he walked toward the roadside under the gaze of countless spectators. Then he opened the door of his Koenigsegg 1:1. The instant the door rose, the crowd exploded again. Holy crap! 1:1. Legend Chu is crazy rich too. Film it. This video is definitely going viral. And in fact, they were right. Not long after Chuyang left, the videos from the ring began spreading everywhere. A ridiculously handsome young man. One slap per opponent. More than a dozen Korean challengers dropped one after another. And in the end, he even made them dismantle their own ring. That alone was more than enough to go viral. Then people realized that when Chuyang left, he drove away in a Koenigsegg 1:1 limited to only 6 cars worldwide. Within a very short time, the nickname Legend Chu began spreading across the internet. And from information that surfaced afterward, people learned that during the same period, Chuyang had also run into a female live streamer doing street interviews. Her name was Chi-Chi. At the time, Chi-Chi clearly had no idea the man in front of her was the Legend Chu who had just started going viral. So she simply held up her microphone and asked like normal, "Hey, handsome, mind if I interview you for a minute?" Chuyang agreed. The first few questions were perfectly normal, until Chi-Chi asked, "So, handsome, what would you say your special talent is?" Chuyang gave an answer that left the entire live stream silent for several seconds. "My special talent? 20 centimeters. Chi-Chi." The live stream. Then, the comments completely exploded. Who could have imagined it? Just minutes earlier, this cool, untouchable heartthrob had been launching opponents off a ring with one slap each. And now he could say something like that with a completely straight face. The clip quickly followed Legend Chu onto the trending lists. Later, Chi-Chi accidentally twisted her ankle. Chuyang didn't personally take her home. Instead, he happened to run into Wang Ji and gave him a simple instruction. "She twisted her ankle while interviewing me just now. Have someone check it out, and make sure she gets home safely." Apparently, Wang Ji took that instruction a little too seriously. Chi-Chi ended up being placed directly into a VIP room at Shanghai Central Hospital. The doctor said she would need at least a month to recover. Wang Ji's response was immediate. Then pay for 2 more months. Lying in the luxurious VIP hospital room, Chi-Chi stared around her and began questioning her entire life. "I just wanted to go home." Her live stream audience was dying laughing. What did Chi-Chi do wrong? She just wanted to know what Legend Chu's special talent was. Lesson learned: never casually interview a mega-rich tycoon. His people don't send you home. They send you straight to a VIP hospital room. Legend Chu is single through sheer talent. With both the challenge ring video and the interview clip spreading everywhere, Chuyang began going viral fast. But he himself didn't care in the slightest about all the new fans he had suddenly gained, because he had something else to do. Xingtian Investment. Chuyang had come here to meet an old high school classmate, Sunua. Back in school, Sunua had been universally recognized as both the prettiest girl in the school and one of the top students. Great grades, strong ability, and beautiful too. A lot of boys liked her. Very few had actually dared to confess. Several years had passed. Sunua was now a manager at Xingtian Investment, and just as Chuyang reached the door to her office, he heard a man inside say, "Sunua, I'll invest 500,000 RMB. How about having dinner with me? Sunua's voice sounded obviously helpless. No thanks, young Master Tang. An old classmate of mine will be here soon to invest. The man chuckled. That old classmate of yours? How much can he invest? A few thousand? Your project needs at least 5 million RMB to get off the ground. What is his little bit of money supposed to do? I'm only asking you to dinner. It's not like I'm asking you to do anything else. The man speaking was Tang Xinran, the young heir of Feiyu Group. His family was quite wealthy, and he had been pursuing Su Nua for a long time. He wasn't truly some vicious spoiled rich kid. He had simply grown up with money and had gotten used to solving everything with it. Chu Yan listened outside for a moment, then raised a hand and knocked. Su Nua. It's me. The door opened almost immediately, but the person who opened it wasn't Su Nua. It was Tang Xinran, whose expression clearly wasn't happy. Tang Xinran had assumed Su Nua's old classmate would be some ordinary guy, maybe even someone who looked a little broke. But when he actually saw Chu Yan, he froze for a moment. The clothes really didn't look expensive. But those looks and that presence. What was going on? Su Nua's eyes, meanwhile, visibly lit up when she saw Chu Yan. Chu Yan. It's been years. You've changed so much. She looked him over and couldn't help smiling. You've gotten even more handsome. Chu Yan smiled back. And you've gotten even prettier. Back in school, I used to wonder how our class ended up with a girl that good looking. Looks like my taste was pretty normal after all. Su Nua laughed. The two naturally started talking about things from their high school days. That only made Tang Xinran more and more irritated from the side. He had been chasing her for so long. When had Su Nua ever talked to him this happily? He cut them off directly. So you're Chu Yan? Let me introduce myself. Tang Xinran, Feiyu Group. I just offered to put 500,000 RMB into Su Nua's project. How much are you planning to invest? Su Nua's expression sank slightly. Tang Xinran. Whatever Chu Yan invests is his goodwill. It has nothing to do with you. But the more Tang Xinran looked at Chu Yan, the more annoyed he became. Especially when the man's entire outfit couldn't have cost more than a few thousand RMB. How important could he possibly be? I'm just curious. How much can this old classmate of yours actually come up with? Chu Yan looked at him. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he raised one hand. 5 fingers. Su Nua. Guess. Su Nua hesitated. 50,000? Chu Yan shook his head. Higher. Tang Xinran laughed immediately. Higher? Don't tell me you mean 500,000. Seriously, dressed like that, I'd already be impressed if you could put up 50,000. Chu Yan couldn't be bothered with him. Guess again. This time, Su Nua asked cautiously. 5 million? Too low. Tang Xinran finally couldn't listen anymore. You really know how to talk big. 5 million is too low? Why don't you just say 50 million, then? Xingtian investment itself is only valued at a few tens of millions right now. If you can actually come up with 50 million. Getting worked up, Tang Xinran blurted out. Then I'm the owner of Xingtian Investment. That familiar voice. There it was. Detected, Tang Xinran is bragging in front of the host. Reward, 100% ownership of Xingtian Investment. Chu Yan. Well, damn. He had only come here to invest some money. One sentence from Tang Xinran, and the guy had just handed him the entire company. Chu Yan looked at him, and suddenly found him much less annoying. At least he was generous. Xingtian Investment belonged to Chu Yan now. So why would he invest 50 million into it? That would just be moving money from his left pocket to his right. Chu Yan thought for a moment. Then he simply said, 50 million really is too little. Su Nua. Keep guessing. This time, Su Nua was genuinely getting nervous. 500 million? Chu Yan nodded. Close enough. The office instantly went silent. Tang Xinran reacted first. He didn't believe it for a second. 500 million? Fine. You said 500 million, right? Sign the contract. He immediately called for Su Nua's assistant. Shaolin. Bring in an investment agreement for 500 million. The young assistant stared at him in shock. 500 million? Since Xingtian Investment was founded, when had they ever handled a deal on that scale? But Tang Xinran was urging her from the side. So she had no choice but to hurry out. The moment she did, the news spread through the entire company. Did you hear? One of Manager Su's high school classmates is here. He says he's investing 500 million. Seriously? How much is Xingtian itself even worth? That's crazy. Even the company's senior executives were alerted. Inside the office, Tang Xinran slapped the contract onto the desk. Aren't you rich? Sign it. Sunua hurriedly tried to stop him. Chuyang, don't let him bait you into this. This is an investment, not a joke. She knew what Chuyang's family situation had been like before. Forget 500 million. Back then, even coming up with 50,000 might have been difficult for him. But the next second, Chuyang picked up the pen and signed, not the slightest hesitation in his movements. It's fine. It's only 500 million. The money will arrive shortly. Tang Xinran almost laughed. Only 500 million? Do you even understand how much money that is? The BMW I drive only cost a little over 2 million. Chuyang thought for a moment, then answered very seriously. 500 million. That's about 4 Koenigsegg 1:1s. Tang Xinran looked like he had just heard the funniest joke of the year. 1:1? Do you know how much that car costs? Over 100 million. Even if you have the money, you might not be able to get one. And you're talking to me about a 1:1? Just then, the office door suddenly opened. Captain Su, the head of security at Xingtian Investment, stood outside. Manager Su. Sorry to interrupt. His eyes passed over Tang Xinran and settled on Chuyang. Sir, could you please move the Koenigsegg 1:1 downstairs? It's blocking the way a little. The room went silent. Tang Xinran's expression stiffened bit by bit. You? Whose car did you say that was? Captain Su looked confused. Mr. Chu's. The 1:1. Impossible. Tang Xinran's voice rose sharply. How could he possibly drive a 1:1? Captain Su was starting to get annoyed too. Young Master Tang. I can't afford one myself, but I still recognize the Koenigsegg badge. And we already confirmed the owner information. It belongs to Mr. Chu. Smack. An invisible slap landed squarely across Tang Xinran's face. Just a few minutes earlier, he had said Chuyang probably couldn't even come up with 50,000. Now there was a globally limited supercar worth 120 million RMB parked downstairs under Chuyang's name. Even more outrageous, when Chuyang heard the car was blocking the way, he simply pulled the key from his pocket. Captain Su, could you move it for me? Ben. Flick. He casually tossed the key over. The hearts of the Xingtian employees secretly watching nearby seemed to jump along with that key. Brother, that is not a normal car key. There's 100 million RMB car attached to that thing. And you just tossed it like that? Sunua stared at Chuyang. The look in her eyes changed completely too. She had known this old high school classmate might be doing better than she imagined, but she had never dreamed he was doing this well. And the real shock hadn't even started yet. Before long, Xintian's CFO, Zhang Chen, hurried into the office. He could barely control the expression on his face. Manager Su, the company account just received a transfer. Everyone turned toward him. Zhang Chen paused. 500 million RMB. Boom! The news exploded across the entire floor. The money actually arrived. It wasn't talk. It wasn't an act. A full 500 million. This time, Sunua couldn't stay seated. Chuyang, you told me before that you had a little spare cash you wanted to invest. Your idea of spare cash is 500 million? The employees nearby who heard that almost broke on the spot. What did she mean, a little spare cash? 500 million was spare cash? Then what were the few thousand RMB sitting in their accounts? Not even pocket change? Chuyang thought about it and explained very seriously. I originally planned to invest 50 million. Then I checked my account. I still had some money I didn't really have anywhere to use. So I changed it to 500 million. The entire office went dead silent. What a humble brag. A completely shameless humble brag. And the worst part was, he was telling the truth. Chuyang even continued asking Sunua, do you have any other projects that need funding? I've still got some left. Sunua frantically shook her head. No. Really, no. Was he kidding? 500 million for one project was already far beyond the original plan. If he threw a few more investments like that at her, she wouldn't be able to sleep at night. At this point, Tang Xinran had completely lost the arrogant young heir attitude from earlier. His expression changed several times. Then suddenly, thud, he dropped to his knees. Even Sunua froze. Tang Xinran? Tang Xinran, however, knew exactly what he was doing. A Koenigsegg 1:1. 500 million in cash tossed out casually. If someone like this really wanted to go after Feiyu Group, Tang Xinran wasn't sure his family could withstand it. Instead of waiting for retaliation, he might as well admit his mistake now. Mr. Chu, I was wrong today. I really do like Sunua. But I can promise you, I have never forced her to do anything she didn't want to do. I admit everything I said and did today was disrespectful. As long as you don't take it out on Feiyu Group, you can deal with me however you want. Sunua looked at Tang Xinran kneeling on the floor with mixed feelings. He was annoying, but he truly had never done anything unforgivable. Chu Yang had no intention of destroying an entire corporate group over a few verbal jabs either. So instead, he asked Sunua, "What do you think?" Tang Xinran immediately became even more nervous. Sunua thought about it. He's not actually a bad person. He just has a few too many spoiled rich kid habits. Tang Xinran visibly relaxed when he heard that. Chu Yang nodded. "All right, then we'll forget about what happened today. Stick with me from now on." Tang Xinran froze for half a second. Then he immediately nodded. "Brother Yang, I'm with you from now on." From the young heir of Feiyu Group to one of Chu Yang's followers, the transition was remarkably smooth. After they left the office, Tang Xinran slipped into his new role almost instantly. "Brother Yang, where are we going next?" Chu Yang thought about it. "Food first, then Dongjiao No. 1 estate. I need to take possession of a villa." Tang Xinran stopped mid-step. "Dongjiao No. 1 estate? Brother Yang, you have a villa there too?" "Yeah, number 9. Tang Xinran. The villa number 9 worth 1 billion RMB that no one had ever been able to buy? He suddenly felt his new big brother might be even more outrageous than he had imagined a moment ago. Chu Yang casually asked, "You know how to drive, right?" At that, Tang Xinran immediately became confident. "Brother Yang, I won't brag about anything else, but when it comes to driving, I'm a real veteran. Among all the rich kids in our circle, if we're talking racing, I'd say I'm second and nobody would dare call themselves first." Chu Yang raised an eyebrow. The next second, detected, Tang Xinran is bragging. Reward, God-tier driving skills. Chu Yang looked at Tang Xinran with even greater satisfaction. Not bad. He had just taken in a new follower, and the guy was already generating returns for him. Very thoughtful. The two reached the entrance of Shengtian Investment. Zhang Chen was already waiting beside the Koenigsegg. When he saw Chu Yang come out, he stepped forward and handed over his business card. "Boss, let me formally introduce myself again. I'm Zhang Chen, CFO of Shengtian Investment." Tang Xinran stopped walking. "Boss?" He turned to look at Chu Yang, then at the Shengtian Investment building. "Wait, that 500 million investment just now. Could it be?" Zhang Chen continued. "I've received the notice about the company's ownership transfer. I look forward to working for you from now on, boss." Tang Xinran's mind buzzed. So the company Chu Yang had just invested 500 million into was his own company? What kind of insane move was that? Chu Yang didn't think it was a big deal. He only said to Zhang Chen, "I don't like too many people knowing my identity. Keep managing the company as usual." Zhang Chen immediately nodded. "Understood. No third person will know." Tang Xinran, however, was now completely convinced. A moment ago, he had thought Chu Yang was simply an extremely wealthy man. Now he realized that what he had seen might only be the tip of the iceberg. And while Chu Yang was standing outside Shengtian Investment, two young girls happened to be walking toward the building. One was Su Ruoyun. She was Su Nua's niece, and a senior in high school. The other was her best friend, Jin Yu. They had come to see Su Nua because of Zhou Luanjia's Shanghai concert 3 days later. Su Ruoyun was a devoted Zhou Luanjia fan. Jin Yu liked him just as much, but tickets were nearly impossible to get. Su Ruoyun had already asked Jin Yu several times, "Are you sure you can get tickets?" Jin Yu thumped her chest confidently. "Relax. I know a really powerful entertainment agent named Manhwa. I'll just have her arrange 2 tickets for us when the time comes." Problem solved. The two girls were talking, not far from where Chu Yang stood. And so, detected, Jin Yu is bragging near the host. Reward, Huanqing Entertainment Company. Additional reward, singer Zhou Luanjia becomes a fan of the host. Bonus reward, permanent black gold pass to all Zhou Luanjia concerts, with unlimited guests. Chu Yang actually stopped walking for a moment. Huanqing Entertainment, a major, well-known entertainment company in China. It had a large roster of artists, and an estimated value of around 20 billion RMB. He had only been standing outside waiting for someone. And somehow, he had just gained an entertainment company out of nowhere. Not only that, but the singer Zhou Luanjia had directly become his fan. The system was getting more and more creative. Meanwhile, Jin Yu noticed Chu Yang too. She was the type who cared a lot about looks. The instant she saw him, her eyes lit up. "That guy is so handsome." Hearing her, Chu Yang instinctively glanced over. Their eyes met. Chuyang gave her a polite smile. And with that one smile, Jin Yu nearly turned into a complete fangirl on the spot. Ruoyun, did you see that? That one is seriously top tier. His whole vibe is amazing. Total cute puppy type. Su Ruoyun looked speechless. Wipe the drool off your face. Come on. But before the two girls could go inside, the cute puppy they had just been talking about walked over to the Koenigsegg. Opened the door. Got in. Started the engine. Jin Yu's voice cut off instantly. Su Ruoyun stopped too. Both girls stared at the supercar slowly pulling away. Is that a Koenigsegg 1:1? The one that costs over 100 million? Jin Yu blinked. She had just thought he looked like a cute, harmless guy. And he drove a globally limited supercar? What level of young billionaire was this? Still full of questions, the two entered Xingtian Investment. They had barely walked in when they heard employees talking. Did you guys see the trending searches? Mr. Chu is insane. One slap per person. More than a dozen Korean challengers, all knocked out. He even made them dismantle their own ring. Su Ruoyun and Jin Yu looked at each other. Mr. Chu? They hurriedly pulled out their phones. Search terms. Legend Chu. Korea. Several related topics were actually sitting in the top 10 trending searches at the same time. Legend Chu takes on more than a dozen fighters alone. Korean challenge ring forced to shut down on the spot. Legend Chu's ride. Koenigsegg 1:1. Legend Chu's special talent. Jin Yu tapped the fight video first. The moment she saw the man in the clip, her mouth slowly fell open. Isn't that the guy from just now? In the video, Chuyang slapped Kim Chong-won down, then sent Kim Song flying with another slap. After that, more than a dozen people rushed him together. Then, like they were lining up to get eliminated, they flew out one after another. When the video ended, Jin Yu quietly swallowed. Ruoyun, I take back what I said. This guy isn't a cute little puppy. He's a wolf. Handsome. Drives a globally limited supercar. Can take on more than a dozen people by himself. Who could resist that kind of contrast? Unfortunately, Jin Yu couldn't leave well enough alone. She tapped another trending topic. Legend Chu's special talent. The video started. Live streamer Chi asked, Handsome, what would you say your special talent is? On screen, Chuyang answered with a completely straight face. My special talent? 20 centimeters. Jin Yu. Su Ruoyun. Several Xingtian employees nearby heard it too. They all burst out laughing. Is that seriously the same Legend Chu who just beat more than a dozen guys? His whole image is ruined. Ruined? No, this makes the image complete. He drives a 100 million RMB supercar, invests 500 million, beats more than a dozen fighters, and now he tells deadpan jokes with a straight face. Su Ruoyun suddenly locked onto one phrase. Wait. Invested 500 million? She found Su Nua's young assistant. Sisterin, what was Legend Chu doing here just now? Xiaoam looked excited. He's manager Su's old high school classmate. He put 500 million RMB straight into manager Su's project today. You know young Master Tang from Feiyu Group, right? Even he's following Mr. Chu around now. Su Ruoyun's expression became more and more complicated. This man was actually her aunt's old high school classmate? Even more interesting. When the two girls reached Su Nua's office, the 20 centimeters interview clip was actually playing inside too. The moment Su Nua saw her niece come in, her face darkened slightly. Click. She shut it off immediately. What are you two doing here? Only then did Su Ruoyun explain. Auntie, Zhou Luanjia's concert is in 3 days. Jin Yu and I want to go. My parents definitely won't let us come home too late, so I wanted to stay at your place for the night. Su Nua wasn't surprised. She knew both girls had always been big Zhou Luanjia fans. What she didn't know was that at that exact moment, Jin Yu was panicking over a completely different problem, because her claim that she knew Chi Wenhua had been pure bragging. Tickets? She didn't have any. Fortunately, later that same day, things suddenly took a turn. Su Ruoyun and Jin Yu went to a 3 Michelin star restaurant. They had barely sat down when Jin Yu suddenly spotted an extremely familiar figure. Khaki trench coat, face mask, sunglasses, bucket hat, and that signature blue bracelet around his wrist. Her eyes widened. Ruoyun, look at that guy. Isn't that Zhou Luanjia? Su Ruoyun followed her gaze. It is. Both girls immediately became excited. Wasn't Zhou Luanjia supposed to be preparing for his concert? Why had he suddenly come to this restaurant? What confused them even more was that Zhou Luanjia didn't sit in the main dining room. Instead, he walked straight toward the VIP room at the very back. A VIP room in a 3 Michelin-star restaurant like this came with a very high minimum spend. More importantly, who could possibly be important enough to make Zhou Lunjie come meet them in person? Jin Yu suddenly remembered she still didn't have concert tickets. An idea flashed through her mind. Come on, let's follow him. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to our idol. The two quietly followed him toward the private room. But at that moment, Zhou Lunjie was actually even more nervous than they were, because the person he had come here to meet today was Chu Yang. It all started with that challenge ring video online. Zhou Lunjie had recently been working on a new song with martial arts elements, but he had been unable to find the right inspiration. Then he came across the video of Chu Yang standing in the ring and taking down more than a dozen challengers by himself. The clean, decisive movements, the completely effortless confidence, and that final moment where he made the other side dismantle their own ring. It instantly sparked Zhou Lunjie's creativity. In just 10 minutes, Zhou Lunjie wrote one new song, then immediately wrote 2 more. 3 songs, finished in one burst. He had almost never entered a creative state like that before. So, Zhou Lunjie, who had already become Chu Yang's fan because of the system reward, now completely saw Chu Yang as his personal muse. When he heard a Koenigsegg 1:1 had appeared near this restaurant, he came straight over. Standing outside the private room, Zhou Lunjie even took a deep breath. Then he knocked. Come in. A familiar voice came from inside. The door opened. Su Ruoyun and Jin Yu, secretly watching from nearby, widened their eyes at the same time. Sitting inside was Chu Yang. Him again? Jin Yu almost shouted out, the wolf. Luckily, Su Ruoyun reacted fast and clapped a hand over her mouth. The next second, something happened that shattered their understanding of reality even further. Zhou Lunjie walked into the room. He took off his mask, and the first thing he said was, "Hello, Legend Chu. I'm a huge fan of yours. My name is Zhou Lunjie." Su Ruoyun, Jin Yu, their idol, was introducing himself to somebody else. "Hello, I'm your fan." Wasn't that supposed to be what they said when they met Zhou Lunjie? How had it gotten reversed? Chu Yang remained perfectly calm. "I know who you are. Don't you have a concert in 3 days?" Zhou Lunjie's eyes lit up. "Legend Chu, you know about it?" "Yes. Do you have time to come?" As he spoke, he pulled out a thick stack of concert tickets. "Take these. Bring as many friends as you want." The 2 girls hiding outside were practically green with envy. They had done everything they could just to get one ticket. Couldn't buy one. Couldn't get one through connections. Jin Yu had even started making up stories just to save face. And now, Zhou Lunjie himself was holding a whole stack of tickets, personally asking Chu Yang to come. What kind of world was this? Chu Yang thought about it. "I should be free in 3 days. I'll go." Zhou Lunjie instantly looked like a fan who had just succeeded in meeting his idol. "Great. Then I'll make sure I prepare properly. See you then, Legend Chu." With that, he left happily. Jin Yu and Su Ruoyun returned to their seats. Both quietly took a sip of their drinks to calm themselves down. A long time passed before Jin Yu finally said, "Ruoyun, so your aunt's old high school classmate drives a Koenigsegg, can fight a whole group by himself, casually invests 500 million, as the young heir of Feiyu Group following him around, and now even Zhou Lunjie is his fan." Su Ruoyun was silent for several seconds. "From what we know so far, yes." It was too much information. Neither of them could process it. But Jin Yu suddenly had only one thing left in her mind. Tickets. Chu Yang had a whole stack of concert tickets now. If she could get 2 from him, wouldn't that make her earlier brag come true after all? So after they finished eating, Jin Yu suddenly said to Su Ruoyun, "Ruoyun, I've got something to do. You head back first." Su Ruoyun didn't think much of it. "Okay." The two separated. Meanwhile, Chu Yang and Tang Xinran had finished eating too. Next, it was finally time to go see the villa Wang Yu had given Chu Yang with his bragging the night before. Dongjiao No. 1 Estate, one of Shanghai's most exclusive residential communities. Most of the people who lived there were either extremely wealthy or extremely powerful. Naturally, the security was unbelievably strict. Chu Yang drove the Koenigsegg 1:1 to the entrance, only to find the security booth temporarily empty. He got out to ask someone. Before long, a young security guard walked out from inside. His name was Xiao Tsang. The moment Xiao Tsang came out, the first thing he noticed was the Koenigsegg parked at the entrance. His eyes lit up instantly. A luxury car. A genuine top-tier luxury car. He was just about to walk over and see who the owner was. When he noticed Chu Yang standing nearby, his clothes couldn't have looked more ordinary. The enthusiasm vanished from Xiao Tsang's face immediately. At a place like Dongjiao No. 1 Estate, ordinary people did sometimes try to sneak inside. Some wanted to pitch investments to rich residents. Some wanted to build connections. There were even attractive young men and women hoping to hook a wealthy older woman or rich man. The man in front of him was ridiculously handsome and dressed completely ordinarily. To Xiao Tsang, his purpose could not have seemed more obvious. So he barked at him directly. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Don't stand around here. Dongjiao No. 1 Estate isn't somewhere someone like you can just walk into." Tang Xinran heard that from inside the car, and his expression changed instantly. He hurriedly pushed open the door and got out. The moment Xiao Tsang saw Tang Xinran's clothes, his attitude did a complete 180. "Sir, are you a resident or a guest? Which villa are you heading to? I'll register you right away." Tang Xinran almost laughed from sheer anger. Same entrance. Same minute. He was practically bowing to Tang Xinran, while barking orders at Chu Yang. "You're really good at judging people, aren't you?" Xiao Tsang froze. "Sir?" Tang Xinran pointed straight at Chu Yang. "Do you know who he is? That's Brother Yang. He spent hundreds of millions buying property here. He comes home to his own place, and he has to get your approval first. Call your manager out here." Xiao Tsang's head buzzed. Wait. The guy in those completely ordinary clothes was the owner of that Koenigsegg? Then, he watched Tang Xinran walk over to Chu Yang and speak with an almost ridiculously respectful tone. "Brother Yang, I'll handle this. You can wait in the car for a minute." Chu Yang nodded. "Make it quick. I still want to see the house." With that, he opened the Koenigsegg's door and got back inside. Xiao Tsang's face turned white. He was finished. He had seriously messed with the wrong person. He immediately started begging Tang Xinran. "Sir, I was wrong. I really was. Please don't call the manager, okay? This job is really important to me." Tang Xinran only sneered. "When you were telling someone else to get lost just now, why didn't you remember how important your job was? You judged someone by their clothes and looked down on him. Who else can you blame?" The call had already gone through. Before long, Manager Han, who was responsible for this section of Dongjiao No. 1 Estate, came running over. He was sweating heavily by the time he arrived. All he had originally been told was that young Master Tang of Feiyu Group was furious. Then he reached the entrance and saw the Koenigsegg 1:1. His heart rate instantly shot up. Someone who could drive a car like that was absolutely not someone a property manager like him could afford to offend. "Young Master Tang, I'm terribly sorry. This was a failure on our management team's part." He turned toward Xiao Tsang. "You're fired. Leave immediately." Xiao Tsang still tried to plead. Manager Han became even angrier. "If I give you another chance, who gives me one? Get out." Once that was handled, Manager Han finally turned back to Tang Xinran with a broad smile. "Young Master Tang, may I ask which villa you're going to?" Tang Xinran turned his head. He didn't actually know either. Chu Yang had only said Dongjiao No. 1 Estate. He hadn't told him which property. So Tang Xinran looked toward Chu Yang. Chu Yang gave a short answer. "Villa No. 9. Instantly, Tang Xinran froze. Manager Han froze too. Villa No. 9? Villa No. 9 at Dongjiao No. 1 Estate was practically one of the flagship properties of the entire development, worth 1 billion RMB. Not 100 million. 1 billion. Plenty of genuinely wealthy people had shown interest in it before, but it had never sold. Recently, they had indeed received notice that Villa No. 9 had changed hands. What Manager Han had never imagined was that the new owner would be this young. The cars started moving again. Manager Han personally led the way. Before long, a sprawling estate-style villa appeared ahead. The main residence was enormous and imposing. The surrounding grounds were filled with landscaped areas, gardens, flower terraces, water features, a private courtyard. Even Tang Xinran, who was a rich kid himself, couldn't help staring in amazement when he actually stood there. 1 billion. So this is what a 1 billion RMB house looks like. Chu Yang simply looked around once and nodded. "Not bad. Tang Xinran, not bad? A house like this." And Brother Yang could only spare 2 words for it. But when Tang Xinran really thought about it, an entire building at Thompson Riviera, a Koenigsegg 1:1, 500 million casually invested, Grand Hyatt International, Red Romance, Prujna Estate, Xingtian Investment. When he added all of that up, A 1 billion RMB villa really might be nothing more than not bad to Chu Yang. The two walked into the villa, completely unaware that someone else had secretly followed them all the way there. Jean Yu, for the sake of those concert tickets, she had quietly followed Chu Yang's car ever since leaving the Michelin 3-star restaurant. Under normal circumstances, there was no way she could have slipped into a place like Dongjiao No. 1 estate. But because Xiao Tsang had just been fired at the entrance, the replacement guard was on edge. Jean Yu was dressed well, and she was following directly behind luxury cars. The guard actually didn't dare stop her. And so, Jean Yu followed them all the way to the area around Villa No. 9. When she looked up and saw the house, her brain practically shut down again. No way. This belongs to him too? She was still debating whether she should go inside and beg for tickets, when someone walked out of Villa No. 8 next door. The moment Jean Yu recognized him, she was shocked again. Qin Mu, one of the true top-tier rich kids in Shanghai. He and Tang Xinran weren't even on the same level. To ordinary people, Tang Xinran was already the young heir of Feiyu Group, but in front of someone like Qin Mu, Tang Xinran previously might not even have had the standing to hold a proper conversation with him. Why had Qin Mu suddenly come outside? The reason was simple. From the second floor of his own home, he had spotted the Koenigsegg 1:1 next door. As a serious supercar enthusiast, his attention was instantly captured. 1:1? Seriously? Then, he noticed something even more important. Someone had moved into Villa No. 9. A new neighbor. And the new neighbor drove a globally limited supercar. Someone like that was definitely worth meeting. So Qin Mu didn't go over empty-handed. He went straight to his wine collection and took out 2 rare bottles. Each one was worth over 1 million RMB. Then he personally walked over and knocked on the door of Villa No. 9. Tang Xinran answered. The moment he saw Qin Mu, even he was surprised. Young Master Qin? Qin Mu, however, didn't know Tang Xinran at all. He simply said politely, "Hello, I'm the owner of Villa No. 8 next door. Qin Mu. I heard No. 9 had a new neighbor, so I came over to introduce myself." As he spoke, he handed over the wine. Tang Xinran suddenly felt something strangely satisfying. In the past, if he ran into a young heir on Qin Mu's level, he could probably walk over and offer a toast and Qin Mu still might not remember who he was. And now, Tang Xinran was standing at Brother Yang's front door. Qin Mu had personally brought over 2 bottles worth more than 1 million each, and was politely waiting for Tang Xinran to go inside and announce him. What a difference. This was what happened when you chose the right person to follow. Young Master Qin, give me a moment. I'll go ask Brother Yang. Before long, Tang Xinran came back out. Brother Yang says you're welcome to come in. Qin Mu nodded. The two went inside. Jean Yu, who had been hiding nearby, suddenly had an idea. Before the door could fully close, she quietly slipped in behind them. By now, she was becoming more and more certain that Chu Yang was an enormous big shot far beyond anything she had imagined. A 1 billion RMB villa. Qin Mu is his next-door neighbor. Even Zhou Luanjia himself was his fan. How many identities and connections did this man have? But for the concert tickets, Jean Yu decided she was going to keep following him. In the villa's living room, Qin Mu finally met Chu Yang in person. At first glance, he immediately formed an impression. Young, handsome, and with an unusually distinctive presence. He didn't have the loud, showy arrogance common among rich kids. Instead, he carried an almost effortless calm. New neighbor. Nice to meet you. I'm Qin Mu, owner of No. 8. Chu Yang stood and shook his hand. Chu Yang. No. 9. This is my friend, Tang Xinran. They sat down. Qin Mu didn't wait long at all. Before asking the question he was most interested in. Young Master Chu. That Koenigsegg 1:1 outside. Is it yours? Chu Yang nodded. Yeah, I only got it recently. Qin Mu felt another jolt of surprise. He knew the 1:1 market far too well. It wasn't a car you could simply buy by putting 120 million RMB on the table. You needed access, connections, status. And on top of that, this new neighbor had just managed to get a 1:1, then turned around and moved into Villa No. 9, worth 1 billion RMB. Who exactly was this guy? Still, Qin Mu himself was one of Shanghai's top rich kids. He was shocked, but he didn't show it too dramatically. Instead, he naturally shifted into talking with Chu Yang about what it was like to live in such a large villa. A house this big was impossible for the owner to maintain alone. Cleaning, security, cooking, landscaping, daily maintenance. Many genuinely wealthy people kept professional household teams on long-term contracts. And once the topic came up, Chinmu couldn't resist bragging a little too. I used to keep a full household staff over in Tianhai. Chef, security, butler, the whole setup. I basically never had to worry about anything myself. But after I started living at Villa number 8 most of the time, I stopped using that team. The moment he finished that one boast, the incredibly familiar notification sounded beside Chu Yang's ear again. Detected, Chinmu is bragging in front of the host. Reward, 100% ownership of Tianhai Household Services. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes slightly. Tianhai Household Services. This was no ordinary domestic services company. It specialized in serving genuine high-net-worth clients. Professional butlers, chefs, bodyguards, cleaners, drivers, and all kinds of premium private services. Its reputation among the wealthy was excellent. Plenty of people had money. But if they wanted a truly experienced, fully coordinated household team, they still had to wait. And now, the entire company belonged directly to him. Chu Yang suddenly realized something. When truly wealthy rich kids bragged, the quality of the rewards really was on a different level. An ordinary classmate might brag once and give him an apartment or a car, but someone on Chinmu's level could casually brag once and hand him an entire company. Chu Yang looked at Chinmu and smiled. Since young Master Qin says having a household team is that convenient, then I really should set one up. Tang Xinran sat nearby, still not realizing what those words actually meant. Chinmu only smiled casually too. As for Jinyu, who had secretly slipped into the villa, she was still looking for a chance to get close to Chu Yang, completely unaware of the ridiculous scene she was about to witness. Chu Yang had already taken out his phone. Looking at Tianhai Household Services, which had just appeared under his name, the corner of his mouth lifted slightly. A question suddenly presented itself. He already had a 1 billion RMB mansion. Now he had a top-tier household services company too. So, just how luxurious should a household team worthy of a house like this be? And if Chinmu found out that the household staff he had casually bragged about had somehow resulted in the entire company behind that kind of service becoming Chu Yang's property in the blink of an eye, what kind of expression would he make? Chu Yang looked down at his phone. He already had an answer in mind. Villa number 9, worth 1 billion RMB, was probably about to become very lively. And Jinyu, hiding somewhere inside the villa, still had no idea that by sneaking in here for the sake of 2 concert tickets, she was about to see an even more outrageous side of Chu Yang with her own eyes. As for this young man who, before one class reunion, had been so broke that he was preparing to leave Shanghai, how much more could he possibly gain from other people's bragging? No one knew, because from this point on, the people he came into contact with would no longer be ordinary classmates. They would be business owners worth tens of billions, top-tier rich heirs, entertainment superstars, even the small circle of people standing at the very top of Shanghai society. And the more powerful those people were, the more valuable their boasts became. Chu Yang's true life as an absurdly wealthy tycoon was only just beginning.